On the 8th of December 2015, the CSGO devs decided to completely ruin Counter-Strike, mostly by including this weapon, the R8 Revolver. It will change the competitive meta in ways that really the competitive meta shouldn't be changed in at all, because it's favoring, instead of favoring the skill ceiling. Now, when I'm talking about this update, actually, I do have to say that they changed the way that the spray in this game are. I think that they changed like the cooldown time and the recoil, so that probably does favor a higher skill gap. But I guess to make up for it, they added this son of a bitch. And if you didn't know, and I think most people do, the Revolver does about like 98 damage to the body from far away at range. So all anybody ever needs to do is just get armor and a revolver, if armor is even necessary, and maybe like a Mac 10. So I mean, they changed the competitive meta in a way by including this gun. But the more explicit way, I would say, that Valve ruined the game has nothing to do with this revolver. I mean, people can still probably not use the revolver, or use the revolver. I'm sure the revolver isn't so overpowered that there isn't a single rifler in existence that could kill somebody wielding a revolver at the competitive level. But I do think that at the competitive level, I'd at least like to see, you know, people taking the game seriously and playing like maybe a Pro 10 man or something with the revolver to see, you know, how people will take on the revolver at a high skill level. But the way that the game, I think, was really fucked with is the competitive the competitive timing. I mean, no longer will the competitive time be 1 minute and 45 seconds. It's now going to be 1 minute and 55 seconds, which is like, great, okay, so the T's have 10 more seconds to work with. That's, I mean, at some point that's gonna change the way the game is played completely, right? I mean, you're talking about terrorists now having that extra 10 seconds. They're gonna have a little bit longer to execute, and really, I mean, what nobody really points out is people have been playing this game for many years under these settings, okay? And with that being said, you start to have a certain feel for the game, but you also start to know, like, and this maybe isn't a great map to do it on, but you'd know, like, okay, you know, it's a certain time, I can smoke mid now, you know, it's a certain time, I can smoke banana now, you know, and really, like, that's just not gonna be the case anymore. People are gonna have to learn new timings, and you say, okay, that's not a big deal. All right, maybe it isn't a big deal. Maybe they can learn new timings, and you can just kind of like tweak the game so they have to learn it all over again and whatnot. That's fine. But what about the worst thing? Okay, is fundamentally, I like to talk about the fundamentals of post-plant positions. Okay. One of the major issues that I found with why new players and even non-new players don't understand how to play post plants is because, in all honesty, the Valve, like the matchmaking timer, is just terrible. The matchmaking timer, the bomb timer for matchmaking, is 45 seconds long, and with a timer being that long, you're almost forced to peek the retaking CTs and try to take them out, because if you just try to play time, there's so much time you can't play time. So the inclusion of 5 extra seconds pretty much changes the entire post plant, the entire beauty of the post plant in this game, like the entire like logic, that entire aspect competitively has just been hindered entirely. by adding another 5 seconds. 5 seconds is everything. All those last minute finishes with like people just barely being able to get defuses, with people just barely being able to, you know, molly off the bomb, and he doesn't have enough time, and you know, the terrorists are dying in the Molotov. All those great moments in competitive Counter-Strike, those great last minute moments in competitive Counter-Strike are gone. They cease to exist because the Valve devs decided to just change the competitive aspect of the game. Just said, you know what? We'll meet you halfway. I mean, do they even play this game? I don't get it. Or do they just like... I think the issue with Counter-Strike is there's nobody at Valve really, like, legitimately enjoying or playing Counter-Strike. So what I think Valve needs to do, and I think what, you know, Thoran might have alluded to, I saw the title of his video, I didn't watch it, when he's saying that Valve needs, like, an ice frog. Thorin could be the ice frog, right? No, I'm just kidding. I think there needs to be somebody at Valve who understands the competitive aspect of the game and has a pretty high skill ceiling, like an ex-pro or something, you know. Just somebody who can safeguard the integrity of the game. Because, okay, I see the money point. You know, you add this revolver. The cases are going for about $20 right now. I get that. What I don't understand is, you know, why any Valve dev would think like, hey, you know what? We have all these settings for this game. Let's change them around. And let's, like, just see what happens, right? I don't get that at all. And the issue that like comes to mind for me more than anything is if this was, you know, like not like a competitive issue, if this was like anything other than a competitive issue, would we see Valve devs who actually understood how to play the game? Probably not. Meanwhile, jumping around with this fucking sniper rifle is still a thing. Look at that accuracy. I mean, why is this going on, Valve? I mean, they don't care about this game. They clearly do not care about this game. Anybody who said all they care about is making money in the skins, ever, in the history of anybody who's like, yeah, you know, I don't think they actually care about the game. They care about the fact that it's popular now and it makes them money and whatnot. You're absolutely vindicated with this update. Everything you've ever said about this game, you're absolutely vindicated when it comes down to this update. Like, holy shit. This update is so bad. It ruins the game. But hey, the chickens have sweaters, guys. The fucking chickens have sweaters. You know? Thank God the chickens have sweaters. What the fuck were we supposed to do if these little guys didn't have sweaters? Thankfully, they do. You know? They're here for the Christmas season. You know, Merry Christmas to you. Jesus fucking Christ. This thing does 400 damage to the head. You know what that means, 400 damage to the head? That means you can wallbang with this in ways that you can't with other guns. It means you can collat people. You could just get a 3K due to like nothing but, I don't know, like the right read. I mean, there's gonna have to be like anti-Rico meta, and there's gonna have to be like a Rico, that being a Revolver eco meta now. I mean, in some aspects, Valve probably looks at this and says, you know, well, communities don't like change, and we're gonna go ahead and apply some change to the community, and they're gonna complain in the beginning, but then they'll realize, you know, it'll become an integral part of the game. I mean, can you imagine there's gonna be people playing Counter-Strike who have never known Counter-Strike without the Revolver? Like, they will pick up this game and they will start playing it sometime in January or later this month. Maybe they'll get a new computer for Christmas, and they'll be like, you know, I always wanted to play Counter-Strike. And they'll start playing, and they'll have this Revolver in the game all the time. I mean, my only concern, really, is not necessarily the Revolver, because I think them adding the Revolver, it could be that they come back and they nerf it in like 3-4 months. My real issue, okay, and I've said this before, is just the fact that the competitive, like that the bomb timer is 40 seconds and the map timer is 155, the round timer is 155. That changes everything. I mean, why do that? Why on earth would you ever do that? I don't get it. I don't get it at all.